Tumekata kupiga magoti mbele ya wauaji, bila shaka sisi pia ni watu. Tumekata hali ya utumwa, tumekata tutanyakuwa mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu, tukomboe utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji. Jikupe tuliangushe, haki ya uhuru zichanue, haki na uhuru zichanue. Elimu yetu Kenya wa Kenya, elimu yetu wa Kenya, tuipiganie na haki zetu wa Kenya, wa Kenya, na haki zetu wa Kenya, tupiganie katiba yetu Kenya, katiba yetu wa Kenya, tutekeleze. Oleya. Kongamano la Mageuzi, tekeleza katiba la Mageuzi. Forward with our people, struggle forward. Forward with our people, struggle forward. Forward with Kongamano La Mageuzi, forward. Long live our struggle, long live. Long live the struggle of Dedan Kimathi, long live. Long live the struggle of Professor Wangari Maathai, long live. Long live the freedom fighter, long live. Kongamano La Mageuzi, tekeleza katiba. Viva!
Thank you, Bwana Gasheke. Please take a seat. I take this opportunity once again to welcome all the participants, both here and from around the world who are joining us for this first convention. I shall move straight on with the program because we are running behind. And I would like to invite Ms. Salome Nduta of the National Coalition for Human Rights Defenders and Kongamano to take over in this part of the program. Salome, karibu.
Kongamano la Mageuzi, kwa sauti tafadhali. Kongamano la Mageuzi, tekeleza katiba. Kabla sijaanza, nitaomba wale ambao tuko kule juu, if you're not the technical team, kindly come down. Let's occupy the seats below here. And then for those of us who are seated behind, if we can move a little bit forward to allow for those who will come in late to occupy the seats that are behind. So nitaomba tuje mbele. Wale tulioko kule juu, naomba mteremke, tuache kule kwenye technical team. Karibuni katika hafla ya leo, the first national convention for Kongamano La Mageuzi. Happy to see all of you. My task is simple, is to recognize the people who are present today. I want to start off with asking the Kongamano La Mageuzi steering team, the steering committee, kindly, if you are a steering committee member, stand and wave to the people. Members, the steering committee members, kindly stand and wave. Asante. If you are from Nairobi County, the county that is hosting the national convention, kindly stand. The Nairobi team, watu wa jiji, tafadhali. Asante, karibuni sana. Laikipia County, I know we had people from Laikipia. I believe they are on their way. Kirinyaga County, thank you. Murang'a County, asante. Mombasa County, asante na karibu. Taita Taveta, thank you very much. Kisumu County, thank you. Kakamega County, asante. Kiambu County, watu wa Kiambu, thank you very much. Kisii County, asante. Busia County, asante na karibu. Siaya County, thank you, most welcome. Mandera County, I believe they are on their way. Makueni County, Makueni, asante. Baringo County, I believe wanakuja. Turkana County, Turkana, on their way. Migori County, Migori, asanteni na karibu. Machakos County, on their way. We have members of the social justice centers. Social justice centers, asanteni sana. We have people from the diaspora. I may not be able to see all of them, but most welcome, including those members from our other counties who are not able to attend because of us observing the COVID-19 rules. I would like to welcome the technical team.
Mageuzi. Haya, tutaimba huu wimbo wa taifa tukiongozwa na huyu mkurugenzi kutoka Migori. Na tutaimba nafikiri sijui ni verse moja, alafu tukangamushe kidogo. So, debut yenu. Mahali kwa hizi nyimbo you can stand so that we sing one more. Mahali munasikia tunasema uhuru kwa hizi nyimbo zetu, tafadhali sio mtu. Nataka moyo wangu uende kulinda nafsi zetu, umoja uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Nataka uende kulinda nafsi zetu, umoja uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge ukombozi tutaupata vipi? Tulinde haki za binadamu, nimejibu na fumbo hili baba, ewe mama, hata na wewe ndugu, ewe baba, hata Sankara litoa roho yake iende kulinda nafsi zetu, umoja uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Mekatililia itoa roho yake iende kulinda nafsi zetu, umoja uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge la ukombozi. Vyoga mapintwa litoa roho yake iende kulinda nafsi zetu, uzalendo uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Winnie Mandela litoa roho yake iende, uzalendo uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Jelagat okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Hey, ilikuwa. Ndio. So, what we do, tuimbe, hii ni Kongamano. Ni Kongamano. Hii ni Kongamano ya Mageuzi. Na niliambia mtu huko Kiambu kwetu, nikamwambia tuko na Kongamano La Mageuzi, akasikiza, alafu akaniambia, "Oh, so it is a Kenya Liberation Movement." Nikamwambia, "Ya. Iya yawe. Yelele iya yawe. Welo iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Edulo mawe. Weba kenyuma sitwaenda na haki. Dolo makwenda. Yelele dulu mawo. Oh dolo mawe. Yelele iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Yelele iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Ukabila we. Wema kenyuma. Oh kabila shensi. Hata mateso. Wema kenyuma. Oh mateso kwena. Haya kufungwa jela. Wema kenyuma sitwaenda. Oh kufungwa jela. Twende. Yelele iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Yelele iya yawe. Iya yawe. Iya ya. Risasi zao. Webake nyuma sitwaenda na. Oh, bunduki kwenda. Extrajudicial killings. Mauaji kwenda. Yelele iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Sote iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. Sikia ya. Sote simama. Simama, simama, simama imara. Simama ndugu. Simama, simama. Yelele simama we. Oh simama mama. Twende. Yelele iya yawe ya. Oh iya yawe. Imba iya yawe. Oh iya yawe. One more. Oh pamoja, 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 pamoja twashinda. Pamoja we, pamoja, pamoja. Wote pamoja wo. Kongamano wo. Pamoja, pamoja. Yelele iya yawe. Ololo iya yawe. siasa nzuri, tukomboe Kenya na wananchi wote.
Asanteni sana. Thank you very, very much. As I said, because we are slightly behind time, we'll move straight on to the next session. Lakini nimeambiwa, the organizers, our hosts have told us that we are still not sitting safely. And what they are requesting, they have little red signs on some of the seats that if we can spread a bit more in front, but on the sides. They're saying there are too many people right here in the center. Sorry to move you around, so that they don't get and we don't get a yeah. Yeah. S- Asanteni sana. At this stage, it is my honor to introduce our former Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, Dr. Willy Mutunga, who is not only former Chief Justice but has been a mentor to, I would say, all movements that are focused on liberation in Kenya. And I'll ask Dr. Willy Mutunga to come up and give us his remarks on behalf of the steering committee of Kongamano La Mageuzi. Willy, karibu.
Nikisema Kongamano La Mageuzi, mseme nikisema Kongamano La Mageuzi, muitikie pambana. Sawa? Sawa? Kongamano La Mageuzi, Kongamano La Mageuzi, msisahau tekeleza katiba basi. Kongamano La Mageuzi, Kongamano La Mageuzi. The title of the speech that I'm reading on behalf of the steering committee is Rising from the Ashes of Betrayal, from Victims to Citizens. 21 years ago, courageous Kenyans gathered in this historic Ufungamano House and dared to dream of a different Kenya. The student leaders who met on 3rd December 1999 and the religious community coordination team on 15th to 16th of December of the same year sought to find a path out of the intransigent of the Moi Kano dictatorship to give in to the popular demands for a people-driven constitutional. These various meetings of broad civil society, including religious community, women's organizations, student leaders, trade unions, and a professional association, and also attended by political parties, eventually led to the formation of the Ufungamano Initiative. Then, as today, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga chose to stand with the ruling party to undermine the popular demands of Wanjiku. Instead of joining the progressive forces pushing for reforms, he joined KANU and chaired the deeply unpopular and elitist Parliamentary Select Committee for the review of the Constitution. The people eventually prevailed, and the Ufungamano Initiative was successful in putting Wanjiku at the center of the constitution-making process. 21 years later, today, we gather here as Kongamano La Mageuzi to defend the power of the people, our power as sovereign citizens of Kenya, to defend our hard-won 2010 Constitution, to remind those in power that despite the many betrayals, the people of Kenya have always risen up from the ashes and asserted their sovereignty. They shall prevail again in preventing the mutilation of our Katiba through the ongoing so-called Building Bridges initiative. As was the case in 1999 when Moi wanted to subvert the will of the people, today we gather here organized as members of the religious community, women organizations, youth, grassroots organizers, students, social justice movements, and other sectors of civil society to remind the barons that the people's power is stronger than the people in power. We also gather here with political parties that are the dawn of new politics. That is a quest for alternative political leadership. Today, KLM reiterates its position that any fundamental change to the Constitution must be driven by the people and not through a personal bargain to satisfy the power ambitions of individuals who view Kenya as their private ranch. The proposed amendments undermine the supremacy of the Constitution and fundamentally alter its basic tenets, including on the territory of Kenya, the sovereignty of the people, the national values and principles of governance, the Bill of Rights, the independence of the judiciary, and the principles and structure of devolved government. Even more outrageous is the return of the imperial presidency, the removal of the strong checks and balances of the 2010 Constitution, and an increase in the wage bill through an expanded legislature and executive. At a time when the country needs healing, the proposed referendum is dividing Kenyans and causing unnecessary polarization. This is the time to come together to find a solution to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has so far claimed more than 1,500 of our compatriots. This is a time to find a solution to the grievances of the healthcare workers. The financial and intellectual resources we are diverting to the referendum should instead be focused on how we avoid the death of our healthcare workers by providing them with adequate PPEs, insurance, and salaries. The energies of those in power should be focused on negotiating for access to a COVID-19 vaccine for vulnerable members of our community as a matter of urgency. They should not be scheming and negotiating for patronage positions through constitutional reform panya routes. 8 years ago, when the Jubilee administration took power, the economy was thriving and growing at a rate of 5.9%. Today, economic growth stands at 3.9%. The debt to the GDP ratio was 44%, but now it's at 66%, which translates to about Kenya shillings 6.7 trillion in debt. The Jubilee administration promised to deliver 1 million new jobs, but instead we have at least 6 million unemployed youth. According to the World Bank, almost 1 in 3 household-run businesses are currently not operating. And in the last 5 months, average revenue for household-run businesses decreased by almost 50%. The promises of prosperity have been replaced by historic levels of theft of public resources amounting to more than 8 trillion. Trust in public institutions, it is at an all-time low, as the state, aided by a co-opted opposition, habitually undermines the rule of law. From police brutality to manipulation of election results, the Jubilee administration has betrayed our trust in the very institutions that they are meant to protect us. From unlawfully and inhumanely evicting communities in Kariobangi, Ruiru, Dagoret Corner, and many other parts of the country, and rendering them homeless in the midst of a pandemic, to promoting regulations that hurt farmers. This government continues to show its outright madharau and inhumanity to the people it's meant to serve and protect. Aided by opposition parties that have turned their back on their voters, the Jubilee administration continues to undermine the judiciary. We have lost count of the number of court orders this government has violated. Violation of court orders is tantamount to overthrowing the Constitution and the rule of law. We have watched in horror as the legislature, with the patronage of the executive, carried out revenge budget cuts against the judiciary in what was obviously implementation of the president's "we shall revisit" threat after the Supreme Court announced the 2017 presidential election results. Parliament has engaged in legislation that seeks to subvert the Constitution. The current parliamentary bill to amend Official Secrets Act is but one of the many such subversions of the Constitution. This is not a way to govern. Abuse of public office and trust in order to weaken the judiciary's ability to deliver justice or to score political points is unpatriotic and irresponsible. Playing political games with the independence and the capacity of the judiciary must stop. We make the same call for all the independent institutions in the Constitution, including the IBC. In our work around the country as political parties, as social justice workers, as human rights defenders, as professional associations, trade unions, as members of the religious community, as honest entrepreneurs and business people, as hard-working farmers, as students working hard to succeed and serve our country, what we feel and hear is that Kenyans are tired of the betrayals that have marked the 57 years history of our country. They are tired of unfulfilled promises from the elite in power. They are tired of the politics of deception, exploitation, destruction, and death. Kenyans are tired of politicians who use violence and fear to blackmail them into power-sharing arrangements. Kenyans are tired of divisive politics, which create ethnic fiefdoms for use as bargaining chips in political games which do not benefit Shiko and Nuru. Kenyans are tired of the politics of division by the big five, not the animals, and their alliances that they claim are inclusive and unifying. That's why today you see here to Kongamano, Kenyans of all walks of life who have joined together to redefine our politics, to bring a new DNA to politics. Kenyans who are determined to end the baronial and ethnic politics. In Kongamano La Mageuzi, we are guided by the words of our Burkinabe revolutionary Thomas Sankara that you cannot carry out a fundamental change without a certain amount of madness. In this case, it comes from non-conformity, the courage to turn your back on the old formulas, the courage to invent the future. The promise of Kongamano La Mageuzi is to build a leadership that embodies trust and empathy, a leadership that understands the struggles of the dwindling middle class and the 23.4 million Kenyans living below the poverty line. KLM and its affiliate parties, organizations, and individuals are grounded on a social democracy platform where all citizens are legally entitled to full rights and freedoms. These rights include universal access to public goods and services such as food, water, sanitation, clean environment, the right to work, housing, education, health care, decent work and just compensation, and other services including child care and care for the elderly, among others. Kenyans are tired of baronial politics. What we promise as KLM is a fundamental shift in how we organize for political power and how we put together our leadership teams. The many betrayals from our leaders requires that we shift from a messianic to a collective leadership approach. Kenya does not need one heroic individual to undo the manufactured mess of more than a century of colonial and neo-colonial governance. That's why KLM emphasizes broad-based, competent, dedicated, and loyal collective leadership to inspire our struggle and to form our new government. Today, we shall adopt the structures of KLM and begin an earnest process of putting mechanisms for the nomination of candidates to run for various offices, including the presidency. It is time to end the chaotic political party primaries that we have witnessed, or the lack of internal political party democracy where individuals become flag bearers through secretive, non-transparent processes. It is time to declare the end of the secret MOUs that sow betrayal and mistrust in our politics. KLM and its affiliate political parties and organizations will conduct a transparent, free, fair, and credible election to ensure that KLM's flag bearers represent the majority of Kenyans. KLM is pleased so far with the level of interest from various aspirants. In due course, we shall publish the nomination procedures as well as the applicable timelines for the election of KLM flag bearers for various positions, including the presidency. Throughout our history as a country, we have resisted oppression and repressive regimes. Kenyan women and men stood up against colonialism. They fought the Kenyatta-Moi-Kanu dictatorships and brought them down. We fought together for the constitutional reforms until we won and gave ourselves a progressive constitution in 2010. We have resisted and defeated attempts by those in power through street and court action. Their love for dictatorship and fear of our sovereignty, human rights and freedoms did not stop our collective fight for our Katiba. We have walked this path before, where the opposition has kowtowed with the ruling party and sold us to the barons. You know the situations when the ruling elite wanted to destroy our citizenship, the people prevailed. Treachery has always been defeated. History calls on us today to once again fight for the soul of our country. This is what rising from the ashes of betrayal to true citizenship means. It requires us to dust ourselves, rise up, and fight the autocracy and the Kanu tactics that are creeping back to undermine our democracy and our hard-won constitution. The power to change our country lies with each one of us. The barons in power know the power of our numbers. And that's why they use all fraudulent means to collect signatures for their BBI projects to show that they have your support. You must never underestimate your power. As one of the KLM leaders for Mathare, Wanjira, often says, when we lose our fear, they lose their power. This is something each of us can do. It is the small actions that cumulatively bring change. You can begin by organizing in your community and encouraging your family and neighbor to be involved in protecting the Constitution. You can speak up against human rights violations and reject dubious referendum that is being forced down our throats. You can become a member of Kongamano La Mageuzi and help organize for real change and transformation of our politics at the grassroots. You can join our affiliate political parties, Ukweli, UGM, or CPK, to help grow their influence and campaign for their candidates at elections. You can run for office. You can write an email, a tweet, a Facebook post, a blog, and resist the attempts to take us back to the bloody Kanu era. You can compose a song, a poem, or perform a play to highlight these issues. You can donate to KLM to support our work across the country. You can volunteer your time and talent to KLM Vuma. You must get your national ID and register to vote. Join us as we work to dismantle and banish from power those who continue to sneer at and attack our Constitution and nationhood. We are citizens, not victims. Let rise from the ashes of betrayal. It's up to us to make this happen. Time is up for the Wakoras in power. Kongamano la Mageuzi. Kwani hamuna sauti jamani? Kongamano la Mageuzi. Kongamano la Mageuzi. Asante sana. I just wanted to acknowledge, just before I sit down, you know, Gizuku. Where is Gizuku? Has he left? Yeah. For those of you who are born in the 90s, you know, Kizuku was with us in 1997 at Limuru Conference Center. And although he doesn't tell these stories, he's one of the drafters of Ule Wimbo wa Mapambano, you know, the alternative national anthem, which I hope we will sing at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Willie, Bwana Chief Justice, asante sana for that inspiring opening speech. I'll move straight on to the next speaker, and it's my singular honor today to welcome Sheikh Abdullahi Abdi, Chairman of the National Muslim Leaders Forum, NAMLEF, a Kenyan patriot, and a leader of progressive change for many decades. So, Sheikh, karibu, tunashukuru, asante sana. A hand for Sheikh Abdi, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm not very comfortable using this mask, so please forgive me. May I first of all say that I feel very much honored to be invited to join you today here. When John was talking to me about this place, it brings back memories of what happened in this place 20 years ago. As I came in and I sat at that corner, I met an old colleague whom I did not recognize, but he recognized me. The name is Gacheke, and he told me senior citizen, you are back at it again. Of course, I feel very much honored that at the age of beyond 70, I am still sitting with the younger generation who are still struggling. This should be the spirit of Kenyans. It is in this room that we formed the steering committee of the Kongamano process. For those of you who might not remember, the Kongamano formed what was called the People's Commission. The story is long, but I will just summarize. President Moi at that time, drunk with absolute power, decided to form a commission that is going to review the constitution of this country. And he chose people of his choice, formed the commission, and they wanted to proceed. It is the civil society that sat here, formed themselves into groups, and we rejected that group. All types of pressure was exerted on us as a group and individuals so that they can kill the People's Commission. We didn't fear, we formed the commission, and the commission moved around the country to collect their views, the views of Kenyans, as well as Moi, who was trying to go send his people around the country to collect the views of Kenyans. Anyway, it was a long story. We were clobbered in Kisumu. Our vehicles were destroyed. But we still insisted that we are going to continue, even if it is a matter of sitting under trees and talking to individuals. It is from that pressure that he gave in, and it's from that pressure that he agreed that that the civil society and the other Kenyans should nominate people to that commission, and that's how the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission was formed, a commission that brought on board all the views and different sections of this country. They say history repeats itself. It's just so interesting that 10 years after the promulgation of the new constitution, we are again meeting here discussing exactly a similar circumstance. The only difference is, as you very well know, the first constitution that was discussed in 1962-63 was the one that brought independence to us. And that constitution was abused. As you very well know, that the devolutionary government was destroyed after 1 year, and slowly by slowly, they kept on mutilating the constitution, and finally we ended up with an imperial president. President Moi inherited that, and he made full use of that. And you very well remember the days of Mulolongo, for those of you who are old enough. The shortest Mulolongo was the winner, and the longest Mulolongo was the loser. Unfortunately, although some of us don't notice it, we are getting into a worse situation than the Mulolongo days. A lot can be said, but the people who are now the proponents of the BBI initiative are two leaders of this country. One is somebody who Kenyans assumed was the flag bearer of freedom, the flag bearer of the rights of the people of Kenya, and Kenyans held him in that esteem. The second one is a Kenyan who was to be taken to ICC as a suspect of crimes against humanity. The people of Kenya stood firmly with this individual until finally he was acquitted. We were told choices have consequences. Kenyans decided to go for the consequences, but decided to protect their compatriot. The same person today is coming and loading over us that he has the powers to make decisions for 48 million people of this country. Are we going to accept that? Brothers and sisters, national duty, moral authority requires that we stand firm. When the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Council speaks, basically, he has given out the ruling. I'm left with very little choice to say. But still, I want to touch on one or two things that he has mentioned. One of the major reasons why the Kenyans struggled to get a new constitution was the abuse of the provincial administration. Today, without even flinching, the current regime is using the provincial administration to force Kenyans to sign for this referendum. I happen to come from Mandera, and I went there escorting a body of a relative. I was informed that the County Commissioner Mandera paraded his troops, put them in vehicles, drove to the county assembly in Mandera, requested for the Speaker of the County Assembly to sign for the referendum. While he's doing that, he has mobilized the media to come and take photos. While he's doing that, he requested, or actually literally ordered, the Speaker to bring in all the MCAs that are available to sign. Not having had enough, they drove to the governor's place, and literally the same exercise was repeated. So you can imagine, if a county commissioner can go and boss over a governor, who is literally the head of the whole county, what about the ordinary man who is on the streets? They are collecting cards and forcing people to sign signatures. On these fake documents that they have collected, the so-called signatures of 5 million, which is all fake. Now they come and want to tell us that the Kenyans have accepted that the BBI should be put to the referendum. Paul, majority of Kenyans don't want. The main reason Kenyans are suffering from poverty. Some of them lost their jobs because of the coronavirus. Most of them are sitting at home because there is no work. The poorest of the poor, who used to earn their survival on a day-to-day basis, they used to do casual jobs. Nobody trusts them into their homes or in offices. Coronavirus. They are sitting at home with no food. It's not a question of other things. There is no food. And this is not a story that I'm telling. It's a reality. The people of Kenya are suffering. Companies are closing down. Businesses are shutting down. Worse than that, Kenyans are dying. Kenyans are dying from corona. They are dying in huge numbers. The figures we are given is just slightly less than 2,000. Those are figures of the major cities. Have you looked at the places like Lodwar, the places like Takaba in Mandera, the places like Vanga in South Coast, the places like Namanga? Who is taking those figures? Thousands and thousands more have died. The political leaders don't want to see that. It has continued. Doctors are striking. Doctors are striking because of survival. You are telling them to go and die. You don't pay them wages. You don't pay them their rights. You don't give them protective equipment. And you are telling them go and work. And what is it? Our president is very busy, traveling all over the world, enjoying himself. And from what I hear, is going for a 1-month holiday to Germany, when his people are dying. You tell me what type of a leader is that? Brothers and sisters, we have been taken for a ride. 2 people stood at a corner somewhere, shook hands, agreed now they are the children of prophets of this land. And without them, nobody can run this country. So because of that, they have said, we will rule them. And a pact was made. The 2 of them have decided they are the 48 million Kenyans. And whatever we say is not going to be taken into consideration. They'll carry out what they want. Are we going to go by that? Brothers and sisters, I am glad to be here today. I am glad to have heard the song that has been sung here today. I am moved by the youth that are here today. I can see a future for this country. When the youth stand up for their country, the country is not lost. I am in my sunset years, I am going. But I am glad to see that we have got people like you who are left behind. But this, we are not going to succeed as long as we fear. We have to speak loud. We have to speak from every corner of this country. We have to speak with one voice. We have to speak with one voice irrespective of where we come from. There is no 5 major tribes. There are 5 major warlords in this country. The five positions that have been created, they were created for those 5 warlords which is going to be the president, the prime minister, the deputy prime ministers, and so on and so forth. The so-called major five, all of them are amongst the poor people of this country. The majority come from those majority tribes. You should not be cheated because one person is going to get high office. He is not going to assist anybody. This is a club of rich people, a club of the sons of rich people, a class of people who are born with silver spoon in their mouth. Don't accept them to come to boss over us. It's a high time you stand up. We should overcome the idea of major tribes and minor tribes. A Kenyan is a Kenyan. How many of you have heard of El Molo? None. Okay, there's one at the 2, 3, 4. That's good. So there's a tribe called El Molo, which is less than 400. They have the right to be the president of this country as any other tribe. How many of you have heard of a tribe called Desangach? Thank God, there are 2, 3 who are hearing. In Marsabit, very good. The Desangach have a right to lead this country. And we should see as one another as Kenyans, not on the basis of tribe. Whether you come from a small tribe or a bigger tribe, you speak as a Kenyan. When you see injustice being done to a Kenyan, whether it comes from your tribe or another tribe, you stand with that person. You should not be talking because he's either from your tribe, from your region, or from your religion. We are one tribe, we are one people, we are one religion, we are Kenyans. So we should see ourselves in that light. I don't want to talk too much, I don't want to bore you, but what I want to tell you, I am very, very much elated to be here. I feel very much relieved that actually Kenyans are standing up. We should be moving from the boardrooms. We should be moving to the streets. We should be moving out of Nairobi. We should be moving out of Nairobi. We should be moving to Mombasa. We should be moving to Kisumu and Nakuru. We should be moving to Moyale. We should be moving to Namanga. We should be moving from Garissa. We should be moving to Bungoma. We should not be limited to these rooms. For those who are with us, they should stand up. In Islam, we are told there are only 2 ways. There is justice and there is injustice. If you don't stand up for justice, you are standing up for injustice. We should be counted with the people who are standing up for justice. Finally, in Islam, again, we are told, people hear the word jihad always, isn't it? The jihad is very much distorted by the media. The media of jihad is completely different. As a Muslim, we are told the best form of jihad is to stand in front of a tyrant or a dictator and tell him you are wrong and face the consequences. I want all of us to stand up in the jihad of fighting the tyrant and to make sure that we liberate our land. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Heza katiba. Heza katiba. Ozi. Thank you very much, Sheikh Abdi. As always, inspiring. Asante sana. I shall move straight on to the next session, and I want to ask our technical team whether they are ready to. We are to be joined by Reverend Timothy Njoya, who you all know, and because he's out of town, we recorded his statement yesterday, and I just want to ask the technical team whether they are ready to air it. Reverend Timothy Njoya really needs no introduction. He is a cleric, a thinker, a philosopher, and one of Kenya's most profound prophetic voices. So I'd like to welcome Reverend Njoya. If we can please play his remarks to to this convention. Are you good to go? You're not ready? Okay. The video isn't ready, so I shall move on straight on to the next session, and then we shall play that a bit later. At this moment, it is my honor to welcome from the United Green Movement, Mr. Moses Geshuho. Moses Geshuho from the United Green Movement Party, Karibu. Kongamano La Mageuzi includes many different types of formations, including political parties, workers' parties, NGOs, and other formations. Karibu sana. Let me just sanitize kidogo.
Also allow me to speak without the mask. When I say Kongamano La Mageuzi, I want to see how many young people we have here. I need us to have some energy. When I say Kongamano La Mageuzi, you know what to say. So Kongamano La Mageuzi. Kongamano La Mageuzi. Tekeleza Katiba. Thank you very much. My name is Moses Geshuho. I am the Nairobi chair, United Green Movement. I am standing in for my county coordinator, and I want to say the following very briefly. That as I sat there, I was very moved by the speeches that have been made by the Chief Justice and the Sheikh. They have detailed how this moment is very historic for our country. And it is very true that for long we have expected too much from everybody else but ourselves. We have expected a lot as young people from our leaders, forgetting that we are the leaders. And somebody said that the choices that these leaders are making for us today is because they will not be there in that future to be held accountable for those choices. So as young people across Nairobi and across the country, we must stand up and take back our power. We must declare with one voice that we are the change that we have been waiting for. Kongamano La Mageuzi. And I want to ask a very simple question. Think about it this way. What would have happened if our forefathers sat somewhere and thought of their lives and not thought of posterity? I want you to imagine the people who are at the forest, the rain, the cold, the sickness. When they were fighting, it was not because of them. They were fighting because they knew that this land is not only for them, but this land is for their children and their children's children. And even as we gather here today, this must be our rallying point. That we are not fighting just for ourselves. We are not just standing up for the right because we want to benefit. We are saying that we will plant the mango tree. Yes, we will plant the tree, but we don't have to enjoy the shade. This is what sacrifice calls for. In the place of fear, then, fellow delegates and young people, is that we must adopt a faith. And not just any kind of faith. I'm talking about an insistent faith that says, niko tayari kulipa gharama na sitasimama maovu yakitendeka. And as I come to a conclusion, I want to ask a question, or to leave you with this question. What will be your part. I belong to a school of thought that believes we have not inherited this land from our forefathers, but that we have borrowed it from our children, and that a time will come and we will have to give it back. And the question we must ask ourselves is, how will this country be as we are handing it over? We must be custodians. Lastly, the question is, don't count as a partisan. Count as a Kenyan. I don't want you to count as a youth. I want you to count as a Kenyan. I don't want you to count as just a woman, but I want you to count as Kenyan. I don't want you to count as a poor person, but I want you to count as a Kenyan. I don't want you to count as a Kikuyu, a Luo, or an El Molo. I want you to count as a Kenyan, and I want you to know that you have the power. It is all within us. Yes, we can. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Asante, asante, asante sana. Thank you very, very much, Wanda Kisho, from the United Green Movement Party. Thank you very much for your remarks. As I said, we are pressed for time, so I'm told that the technical team is ready, and we can listen to Reverend Timothy Njoya. Is my information correct? Okay. If you need a bit more time, we can move on to the next session. Sorry? Okay. Give you a few seconds. Okay, if you're having a problem, we'll move to, okay. Are we good? Okay. What we're going to do is that while you're getting ready, I am going to invite Mr. Bukangesa, a representative of the Communist Party of Kenya. Is Buka here? Please, karibu. Yeah. Karibu Buka. Asante sana.
Asante. Kongamano La Mageuzi. Kongamano La Mageuzi. Thank you, comrades. And I want to, first of all, give a very important congratulations to the people who put up this thing together. For some of us that have been organizing for political events, We know the time, the resources that is required to put up such an event. We congratulate you and we adore you. And next time, of course, definitely as a stakeholder, we also will want to participate to do even more. I want to recognize the most significant speakers that I have actually heard here. I was sitting there just enjoying certain remarks that we have a multi-diverse speakers in this house, from religious organizations to political parties to civil society. That is the platform that we have always longed for. So at least for all the delegates that have come here with the respective speakers that have been there, I also want to congratulate you. And then on the next part, I will also want to pass my revolutionary greetings. I am here on behalf of the Communist Party of Kenya. And for those I've not interacted with, my name is Buka Ngesa Omole. I am the vice chairperson of the Communist Party of Kenya. And please receive revolutionary greetings from my chairperson, Mwandawiro Mganga. Also receive revolutionary greetings from my Secretary General, Comrade Benedict Washira, and all comrades from CPK that have found the opportunity to attend this forum. I want to make a few remarks because Kongamano, in our own understanding as the stakeholders here, is a united front for liberation of our country. United front in the aspect that we accept all the diversity. If there is anybody in our country that is struggling against the land question, he has a home here. If there is anyone or any student militant group that is fighting about, neoliberalism policy in the student space, then he has a space here. If you are a political party, like I know we have two political parties that have been, part and parcel, and of course the third one, which is the Communist Party of Kenya. We have Ukweli Party of Kenya that is anchored on social democracy, that they are defending that political space. We have United Green Movement, which is also anchored on social democracy, but is also tilted towards environmental policy of our country. Then we have a team. Then, of course, without any fear of contradiction, you have Communist Party of Kenya, a revolutionary vanguard, which is really determined to fight for socialism as an end to all injustices in our country. I want to go then to make a few remarks that I have been told that the theme of this Kongamano is rising from the ashes of betrayal. I have heard Mr. Odinga was mentioned here. Was he mentioned as a betrayal or as a citizen? He's one person that the poor people have supported more in this country. In fact, to turn his back against the poor people, in this theme is the betrayer, actually. And we should not even fear to say that. And some of these people, we have to look at them through certain things, certain positions that they have taken nationally or internationally. Then we know. But all these political parties, like you have easily summarized it in the charter, that they are driven by politics of tribalism, money, and non-ideology. So the champions of ideology are known. And in this room is Ukweli, and of course, United Green Movement and the Communist Party of Kenya. So anybody that is masquerading to champion any different ideology outside there, the most I see with them is that they masquerade as Social Democratic Party. Ukiangalia Jubilee, so wanasema hapa waoni, they are Social Democrats. If you look at the ODM, they are masquerading as Social Democrats. in that they are imperialists, they are capitalists, but they are embarrassed to call themselves who they are. So they are, concocting several names in a view to deceive the Kenyan masses on base of social democracy. But the whole concept in our midst here today is to come up with a minimum program that is agreeable to the parties that are here to drive the national liberation agenda of our country. If we are talking about the point of betrayal, we can track the Kenyan struggle from the fight for independence. We had the Land Defense Force, Mau Mau. Then we had the group of the betrayers led by the father of our current president, Jomo, the biggest land grabber in Kenya today. And we have seen that through sham independence, they betrayed the peasants and the workers of this country who are determined to push the independence to a final conclusion of the liberation of the people. So we got a sham independence that, as the chart has clearly indicated, now we have a neo-colonial state. That even the state that we have in Kenya is too weak to oppress us. They need to form international alliances of oppression for financing to be able to brutalize their own people. So that means if we organize the Kenyan masses, the only thing that is remaining in Kenya today is that the state has a monopoly of violence. They have no jurisdiction whatsoever. In fact, they do not have no public support even to move any agenda. But if we move to the street, of course, a few of us will be brutalized, and tomorrow the TV will show our faces to discourage the others from appearing in the street the following day. So what Sheikh had said here is very instrumental, that the fortitude to endure the struggle, the courage of revolutionaries to march them in the street will force them to be in the boardroom, to negotiate for themselves, but us will negotiate, of course, for and behalf of the Kenyan masses. After that national independence, we can go even further to what you call the second, third, and the fourth generational change. We are waiting for Njoya, for example, who is a hero in terms of fighting for that space. There are people who are fighting for multipartyism. There are people who are fighting for the promulgation of the Kenyan constitution. So these people that were fighting, are they victims or are they citizens? Every time there is a fight in this country, it's the poor that get slaughtered. It is the poor that get imprisoned. Raila in himself was fighting for stolen election here. He mobilized people, great people of Kenya, to fight for his stolen election. And we have a lot of victims that were murdered and killed, both by the police and the private militia organized by the politicians. So when we say that, are we victims or a citizen? The poor people in our country and the working class are all victims. Because look at that BBI nonsense. They have not recognized anybody that shed blood in the street. In fact, when Sheikh was talking about jihad here, I was thinking about martyrdom. The poor people that have sacrificed themselves and paid the ultimate life to defend this civic space have not been recognized. So even if you look at now those patriotic people that they are calling there, when we have national days, they are rewarding Kenyan heroes.
Hi, everyone.
That the heroes and the people who make history in our country are the Kenyan masses. In fact, the Kenyan masses do not need a Jesus to save them from the yokes of neocolonialism or capitalism. They only need themselves, and we need to organize them to move forward.
My name is Joe.
So we don't need a Jesus to save us. That salvation ended. Like we say in the Communist Party of Kenya, we are only strong as far as we are within the masses. And I want to rejoin that comrade Sheikh to actually remind all of you that the big battle will be in the Kenyan street. And CPK every day is tempering soldiers for that process. We are making more even radicals and militants to confront them. And even ideologically to mobilize people in the street to challenge that process. What is then the source of our unity today as we speak here as Kongamano La Mageuzi? One is the Katiba, Constitution. It's important for us to say that all of us that are members of Kongamano are supporting the full implementation of the Constitution, especially the articles on social rights, right to housing, right to health care. In fact, we do not need any other program for the moment. In fact, is to call for the Kenyan government, both through mass process and diplomatic process, to implement the Kenyan Constitution. So in that process, I think we are going to succeed, is interconnecting our struggles, the struggles of people. I know even within the Kongamano, we will have our contradictions. But those contradictions in Kongamano should not be antagonistic in terms of moving the political process together to take our country. And when I go to the tail end of my remarks, is to comment about the next political move that we have talked about here. That even though we are calling about the end of BBI, and we are calling about for full implementation of Katiba, and you have heard that the government of the day, actually Mr. Kenyatta and his brother Raila, and all his oligarchy are on the offensive. They are attacking the Kenyan people. And they are telling us that you either comply, or even though we are taking you through a referendum, that referendum has passed. That is the way they are going to manipulate the elections, because the Kenyan elections is not about democracy. Actually, now they compete in rigging each other. Then after one outwits the other in rigging, then the others start complaining, I have been rigged out. Then one organizes the violence, others organize the police. The poor is murdered, and the same rhetoric continues. So the whole thing is to change our level of democracy, democracy of money. All these young people you see here in Nairobi, when you are organizing them for a political struggle, you have to tell them there is no profession in activism. There is no profession in paid activism. You will not earn a living in terms of being an activist. But from the call to defeat imperialism and capitalism. In fact, one of my suggestions in that charter will be that the front should be an anti-capitalist, even though we have severally mentioned in that document that we are also an anti-imperialist. And when we are moving for this democracy space, because Kenya already we have a civic space to organize, then we have to, let me have the last point. The last thing is that we have to recognize that Kenya is a class society. That is what I wanted to mention. In fact, Mr. Comrade Sheikh here said it very clearly, that the rich have conspired against the poor people. So even if you are looking at women equation, or we are looking at the youth equation, we have to say that they are youth that are beneficiaries of a corrupt system. They are poor youths in Madari. They are poor youths in Sia, where I'm doing their political work. And they are sons and daughters of these three warlords or four warlords. So the class aspect of our organization will help us to analyze the social structure of our country and actually amplify the contradictions, which are basically in class context, to move our struggle to the best conclusion. I want to stop my remarks there, and thank you very much. And sorry, I have taken more than what I was allocated.
Thank you very much, Banangesa, Pole, Asante Sana, for those inspiring and powerful remarks. I shall move. Okay, the technical team seem to be indicating that they are good to go with a message from Reverend Timothy Njoya. Please go ahead. It's already introduced.
Today I'll be speaking to Dr. Reverend Timothy Njoya. Reverend Njoya is a retired Presbyterian minister. He's a public intellectual, a scholar, an activist, and as he likes to be mentioned nowadays, he's a house husband. Karibu, Dr. Njoya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jokuburi. I am welcoming you to Karini Rock Garden.
Okay. And happy Jamhuri Day to you too.
Yeah.
Happy Jamhuri Day to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. I think I'd just like us to get us started just in this conversation. And today's the 12th of December, Jamhuri Day. But the last couple of years, there's been quite a bit of conversation around changing the constitution, and we've seen it around the last couple of months, even during this corona pandemic. What do you make of this BBI? This BBI, the process, the documents themselves. What do you make of the BBI process in totality?
Oh, first of all, thank you. There's nothing in Kenya like to change the constitution. This doesn't happen. What there is, and as there have been in history, is corrupt the constitution, mutilate the constitution. It doesn't help anyone. BBI has lacked a philosophy of values, or it lacked the principles by which it would change the constitution or even improve it. What it can do is destroy the principles, the biblical principles, the Quran principles, and the constitutional principles of the sovereignty of the people, which we put that in that constitution. Many of us died, suffered to bring those values into the national culture and to qualify that culture into a constitution. We were people-based. Now the BBI is state-based. It is executive-based. And therefore, I don't think that it's even amend the constitution, because the way to amend the constitution is not through the executive. That is, first of all, you usurp the power of amendment from the people who would amend it, the constitution and the people of Kenya. And therefore, it is a covenant of the state politics and the devil. In fact, it is a covenant of evil and evil, not of good and evil.
And what do you mean when you say it's a covenant between evil and evil? Well, what makes you make this
a collusion?
Yeah, precisely. What makes you make this very?
It's a collusion because people can collude to. Of course, let's say Raila accused Uhuru of stealing
2017
election. 1917 election, 2017 election.
Precisely.
Now, in handshakes with Uhuru, to be given part of that power which he says was stolen. That's a collusion. It makes it when Raila was criticizing power being stolen, his election being stolen, he was good. But the moment he agrees to have a portion or a share of that power, or to be donated to him by Uhuru, then it becomes now a covenant of evil and evil.
And why do you think Raila wants to be part of that, as you say, part of that power?
Because he has been out of it for too long. He has been excluded, he has been marginalized, and he says his followers are marginalized. So, of course, he would like to be included, not in gaining the power he was fighting for legitimately, but included in the illegitimate power that was stolen from him. Yes. And by the people who stole it.
And who are these people who stole the power? Who are these people?
Of course, the Uhuru and his cronies stole the power from him, according to his version.
Right.
For me, I'm a minister, I'm objective. I'm not saying, purporting that power was stolen or not, but from what I saw in the demonstrations everywhere in Kenya, I saw people demonstrating that power is stolen. If they really demonstrated and made Uhuru the people's president, the one who has not stolen. But now the people's president crosses the line to go and share the power he was sworn to counter.
Right.
Instead of continuing and persisting to purify Kenya of robbery.
Right.
Then in that way I say it's a covenant, it's an agreement between evil and evil.
And do you think this covenant will go to its logical conclusion? Do you think
Uhuru, as you say, will give Raila this power. He has no mandate from the constitution or from Kenyans to give power which is our power. We delegated the power to him by electing him. If at all he won legitimately, that's what I mean. I'm trying to bring Raila on board with me, saying, okay, I want to be devil's advocate. I want to say like Raila that Uhuru stole the power or might stolen it.
Right.
I cannot be party to be having donation of power from the person I accuse of stealing that power.
So then how does the handshake which was initially set to bring peace to Kenya in 2018, how do we get from that to where we are now?
Okay, let's talk about hardship. Hardship is an approachment. It's a reconciliation. If there was a reconciliation by two people who offended each other,
Right.
one stealing and the other one being stolen from, what they would have done is to call a Catholic priest to come and do a sacrament of penance,
Right.
so that they are cleansed, so that they are reconciled.
Right.
But now, why should they donate our power? We didn't mandate to who to give our power. However much power he gave him, that which not all he stole, because also he had votes. Whatever power we give Uhuru, we did not give them mandate to transfer it or to share it or to include anybody. Power is not a matter of inclusion and exclusion, it's a matter of being donated by the people. And you take as much as has been donated to you by the votes. Power is donated by the will of the people through free and fair elections to a person. It cannot be donated or donated or shared beyond that. It's only, if people want power, they can come only back to us,
Right.
so as to donate. So I'm saying the principles of power, democracy are being violated here.
Right.
Yes. It's a treason. Treason in that Uhuru was sworn to defend and protect the Constitution. But now he wants to change it, not protect it. He wants to change it to accommodate the people who are accusing him. They are not accusing Kenyans. Mama Boka didn't steal the elections. She voted very innocently.
Right.
Why should her vote be shared and be given to someone else? So I'm saying that is treason. Yes.
And what does it mean? What does it mean for Uhuru? What kind of mindset and logic is him and people around him, such that he thinks he can donate the power?
Thank you. Thank you to Reverend Joya. I apologize. The sound was difficult for me. I don't know whether it's the same for you. The whole video will be available on the Kongamano La Mageuzi website and the Facebook page. So you can access it there and listen to Reverend Joya's inspiring comments much more clearly. If you don't mind, I'm very conscious of the many colleagues who are with us in the diaspora, some of them who woke up as early as 2 or 3 in the morning to be able to join us. So I want to plow ahead with the program and merge our tea with our lunch so that we can hear out our colleagues from the diaspora. But before that, I would like to invite my friend Bwananduko O Matigere, who is Secretary General of the Ukweli Party, to come and address Kongamano La Mageuzi convention this morning. Nduko, karibu.
Thank you, Comrade John. Kongamano La Mageuzi. Kongamano La Mageuzi. Pambana. Comrades, it gives me great pleasure to be here with you today at the first ever National Convention of Kongamano La Mageuzi. Nawashukuru sana kwa kufika. We've been looking forward to this day to bring all our energies together, to bring all our hopes and dreams together for our only homeland, for our only motherland, Kenya. The ravaging that our country has faced since independence has blistered us throughout our struggles. I remember many years ago, within the historical context that Comrade CJ shared, I was seated on the fourth row of that column of seats when politicians who had allied with us in the struggle for a new constitution under the banner of no reforms, no elections, betrayed their participation in the people's struggle. And I remember their fear was driven at a point that, again, if I'm not wrong, Comrade CJ and Comrade Njoya were up here co-chairing a session where the motion on the floor of this house was for us to declare ourselves as a people's government, as an alternative people's government. And at that point, I remember the motion had been read, I think in its second reading, where there were a few tweaks to be made. And an issue arose in this house where we required our comrade members of parliament to first resign from their seats in parliament for them to be properly in the people's government. And then that's a crack happened. They started reminding us, you civil society people who elected you, you cannot tell us to resign our seats. I remember the member of parliament for Kasipul Kabondo, I think his name was Kopio, who said he had to go and consult 34,000 voters before he could decide, but we lost them. So today reminds me that it's not the first time that diverse forces of struggle are coming together to push the status quo, to change the status quo, and install a pro-people government. A lot has happened. Today, we have more tools in our hands. We have more force in our hands that we can leverage to finally deliver on the dream of a pro-people government that we've dreamt for so long. So on behalf of Ukweli, I bring greetings of comradeship and solidarity to reaffirm our presence and participation in the Kongamano La Mageuzi United Front. And I'll take a few minutes to basically outline why we are here and why are we joining up with fellow comrades to push forward the agenda for change in this country. Ukweli Party was founded in 2017, and what drove us to found Ukweli was the very tiredness that Comrade CJ outlined in his speech. That we hadn't and we have not yet shaken off from our governance and state institutions the colonial inheritance that characterized the Kenyatta regime, the Moi regime, the Kibaki regime, and now the Uhuru and Ruto regime. And so two areas of thought that define Ukweli Party is a desire to work tirelessly with and for Kenyans to break the status quo. Because the status quo as it is has failed, has refused to move this country to the hope and promise that it embodies. And so really Ukweli was and is a step towards organizing politically to remove from power establishments that have succeeded one another since independence, but which have failed to move the country into realizing the dreams of our freedom. Because the status quo has a DNA of being anti-people, wanatudharau, they take us for granted, they rely on the power of domination rather than the power of governance according to the Constitution. They work in partnership with local power cartels with commercial interests, and also global forces that benefit from the exploitation of their people. And so Ukweli Party organizes to remove these forces from power. And secondly, Ukweli Party believes in progressive social change and believes that all social movements that are seeking this change should and must come together to realize that change. And so when discussions of founding Kongamano La Mageuzi took shape, it was natural that Ukweli Party would be an affiliate member of Kongamano La Mageuzi, because a critique that we always remind ourselves is that consistently we've failed to push these thugs out of power because we are divided. We failed because we are faithful to our little corner struggles that make it difficult for us to come together and realize that without and before removing the bandits in power, all our struggles will not succeed. All our advocacy cannot and will not succeed. And so when discussions of founding a united front to contest political power that brings together all of you, organized as the religious community, organized as civil society, organized as political parties, it was natural that Ukweli would be present and lend its experience, lend its dreams to make this movement succeed. We believe and we identify with the charter of Kongamano La Mageuzi that believes that yes, it is possible that Kenyans can access free, equitable, quality healthcare. We can afford it from the theft that is happening, from the erosion of public resources that is happening. We can access health not because we can afford it, but because we are citizens. We believe that all children in Kenya can access education for free from nursery school to university, and not talk about market forces as being a determinant of who will access education and who will not. We also believe the question is not that we don't want, the question is that we have the wrong people in power. And therefore the mission is to remove those people from power and establish a public administration, a government that cares for its citizens, that cares for us. And so our participation in Kongamano La Mageuzi is driven by the meeting of thoughts, the meeting of hearts and meeting of souls that believes that it is possible that if we organize, and not just organizing by agitation, but organizing by fielding candidates in coming elections. Whether they're in 2022 or if we succeed in our organizing, we can bring down these thugs and have our elections earlier than 2022. We identify with the rejection of the BBI project in its entirety. And we not only reject BBI, but we stand in rejecting the referendum. We stand for the removal from power, the big five that Willie highlighted in his speech and Comrade Sheikh highlighted. And I really like the fact that he called them for who they are. They are bandits. They are unfit for office. Our energies, our working together should drive them from power ASAP. And we come here believing that we can win together if we organize together, if we plan and work together, if we strategize together, if we bring the different advantages that the movements that we represent here together and pull them in a united front, we can succeed. So nawashukuru sana kwa kufika, and I'm looking forward to the deliberations through today and tomorrow, and also your presence and participation in the program that we are going to give ourselves to make Kongamano La Mageuzi succeed and to take back our country sooner than later. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Bwana Omatigere. Nduko, I am advised that the tea is already served. I was trying to cut time so that we can have as much time with our friends in the diaspora as well. I wanted to make a suggestion, which is, because the tea is just out here, if we can break now and have a 10, maximum 15-minute tea break, and then come back and have the plenary before we go for lunch. Is that okay? Or you want us to continue? No tea? Okay. I feel the need for tea. Okay. Please, the tea is just out on the right there. Let's try and be back in 15 minutes so that we can continue with the plenary. Asanteni sana to all the presenters who've been very, very inspiring and powerful this morning. Enjoy your tea. See you in 15 minutes.
Na dedicate hii mahiro wote wa Kenya, kila mtu ame struggle na hapo paid for, ini time ya paid for revolutionary comrade.
Najua nakoenda, najua wataka haki yako.
jasho machozi. Kama wakashinda wao mashabiki wakaenda na trophy. Matigari hana hata kaploti. Serikali nataka nikuze Nairobi. Mangati nataka wamangishe Jirongi wana kofi. They don't know who we be. Haikosi White Highlands no more. Sisiri hawatoshi. Hivi temepita rangi ya ngozi. Na kabila najua ni mbili tu. Maskini na mdosi. So synchronizing time 205. Decolonizing man. Siseme mbiliji hypnotize wana run. Vision za sheni wa kifiro. Bogi mato mtu anatusi makiti ya manda linyonya. Lafu anapigiwa makofi za kilo. Washukudo mwenye njiro. The same route or if mama yetu njeri. Hizi ni beto ya mahiro. Ka Kenya ni Matrix nani ndio niyo. Kake maji hapa the one day society ko drunk na opia. Nilo semekana na Karl Marx na vilabu recharge. Na pay tax kwa harass baby. Na mambanga mothers can't even protect the babies. Wanaume wawezi protect my lady. Wow, haki bengao vita vya bunduki. Kuki bullets ivuke nayo. Tangu era za nyayo. Wanakumanga msee.
Nilidhani mtaadisia sense kwa wimbo zenu tukisinzia. Bado mnasinzia disia. Unaweza teta ukishukiwa kimakosa. Unaweza tema ukishibishwa uonge mbaya. Unaweza hepa ukinusiwa. Unaweza tema ukizidiwa. Hakuna haja kujiforce kitu hautaki. Unajua vile kwa uenda mgema kisidiwa. Raita mfema zalibiwa na waitaka karepiwa. Na hiyo ndio asanti alipatiwa. Kufanya nini kuwatolea ma-idea za kuwasaidia kuwabadilishia city. Ukuta zote si ni true. Kamngaro ya poko ya kuexpose pati ya juu ya mguu. Ukiandika ma-assassination, ma-sniper maarufu. Opposite building kwa roof. Mighty zinachwa kwa boots and eye. Boots na meza do. Time yako ya kuongea imeisha. Maadui wanakuinda na harufu. Kwa ile roho safi na moyo mkunjufu wa Munyakei. Kuanzisha corruption, zero tolerance. Fungulia kesi golden back na alipewa tati gani. Account iliarishwa design ya Korea. Kishavumilia viboko chini ya maslave master. Hadi kupigwa na mayai ya kuoza kwa Kenyatta. Tukiwa na Mr. Moja nikitusiwa. Unajua vile kwa uenda vile au fanya. Hapa tuko kwa pia kwa champion kiasi. Yeah. Kama kulikuwa na safety belt, basi kulikuwa na tenda ya mishipi. Ukiona blackout kuna tenda ya magenerator. Wameipeleka tu far, wameenda hadi story agenda, hadi rights za mende. Ati wase wanaipenda kaile channel ya South Africa. Wameitwanga na panel beating media yenyewe ikaifanel wakaikunywa. Na kaili wanyonga pia wataisiaga na washoni afya. Yeah, ni mamafia jo. Propaganda imeganda proper. Publicity za TV ndio wao upenda. Kudisiana kwa matanga na kwa church. Kukisiana kwenye curtain, kubagain nani atafikia bei. Kufitiana white ndio zao. Kura yako ni kadi, ballot box ATM yao. Oh my goodness, hadi doza shule. Jo mzee, na education ndio key. Tunafaa tukafunge na mbunge amekuja cheap, ati kutubaia steam tuvuruge. Hapo ndo mimi hujiuliza jo, hii siasa utusaidia ngaje saa zingine?
Siasa kwa nganga kelele za soko, yani lini mtatukoroga ubongo. Tumechoka, tumesota na bado. Siasa kwa nganga
job jioni bila eni kwa pori. Familia inakungoja, uweke kitu kwa meza. It all rotates around poverty. Kitu political class imeignore. Ndio siwezi respect hata siku moja. Angalia kwa
from ghetto to the world, anthem, republic. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Aweka. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. I was born and raised up in ghetto. I spent my childhood years in abject poverty. Bullet for breakfast, lunch unpredictable, maybe supper, take water. What a life. My mama used to hustle every day for my better tomorrow. And she used to say, son, smile today, cause tomorrow might be holding sorrows. Tukolabo leo, cause kesho kuna mtu anaweza baki solo. So, hata ukwe na shida nyingi aje usiwahi bend solo. Jiamini kabla watu wa kuamini. And so, at the tender age of 2 years, I could tell the difference between a real bullet and a rubber bullet. And mark you, none of my family is in the army. Situation has recruited us by force. We know no authority. Shoot to kill is the hit song in the ghetto song. Then come to sing along. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Aweka. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Kiwa youth na uko ghetto, wanakuita criminal, wanasema kill them all. We are subjected to degrees of intimidations and violence. We are not independent in our own country, we are like refugees. Jesus on the wapi since every corner ina smell death. Kila mtaro ina flow blood. Ghetto iko pete na zuni hadi naogopa. Naogopa sisi naishi maisha ya saa hii. Anytime unaweza sikia wai. And there is no more wamemuai. But welcome. Kama utembe kwetu ghetto, kama utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa aweka. Kama kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa mtaa ya masaa aweka kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa mtaa ya masaa aweka. Hii mtaa pia inaishi Kenyan citizens. Uliza mtuva atakwambia mambo huku ni mseto. Karibu ghetto na kupromise ukikam utatamani kuseto. Pole kausha ikamuku akakuhanda boss. Ni vile Rose mwando waishi huku, so kunge kuwa na mtu wa kukubembeleza. Cause kuna wenye wanaongoja tuombe ndio watupe, na akitupea atupei kwa mkono, labda watupe. So in case nimesahau kukuomba, jua God sijaisahau kumuomba. Sieste tu anabondanga mali, ghetto sisi ubonda sura, na bado mbebi anakuambia you are handsome. Napenda hiyo sura, so sura za wa ghetto zikiogopesha kiudani trejo. Jueni heart zetu ni safi kaza angels, and when you look down on us there'll be nothing to smile about. Welcome. Kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa mtaa ya masaa aweka. Kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa mtaa ya masaa aweka. Kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa mtaa ya masaa aweka. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye watu hawaishi ghetto ndo wanajua mengi kuhusu ghetto hadi kuliko sisi wenyeji. Ati macho ya mghetto ikikuwa red, haiwezi kuwa alikuwa anavuta mkokoteni vumbi ikaingia. Wanasemanga alivuta bangi, sanani atamsaidia. Ati mghetto akiscroll tablet, wanasema kuna mtu wa estate akohosi akimeza tablet. Ati mghetto akikuwa na pesa, wanasema kuna mtu wa M-Pesa ametesa. Ati amebeba pesa akamwachia 2M mayo. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye inaaminekani ya wezi na kusucceed hatuwezi. Mtaa yenye hewa sisi ubreathe yote ni insult. Na ukirudi nataka uambie hivi, waambie apart from sisi kuwa wakora pia tuko na the best footballers wenye wamekaa tu base wakichomwa na sola. The best singers who can sing songs that can swing in your mind to remind you of the positive things that we are capable of doing. The best actors design wakiact Oscar Awards inaheld wa ghetto. The best dancers wenye wanaweza dance news ama wa dance national anthem. The best DJs who can scratch your negative attitude and spin you back to a normal human. Tuko na the best rappers design wakirap Kanye Western na sound kama Kenya ni from Western. We are diamonds in the dust.
Nikonjata siezi karanga, uwe hae shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Hatu get wadhifa, una deserve, bila kasha makashfa. Hii society Kenya wanaeza, share ni nyungu ya busa ama ketol ya shisha. Mfuko zinasikia eko, unajua thamani ya mali na size ya kifuli. Eyo, ujaibiwa jua unakaa kitu worth. Risking jail time, police bullet for. Unaweza argue, crime doesn't pay, lakini huwezi dismiss justice in a bay. Mwizi ana 40 days, 365 days later anaendelea kugrow fatter. Do anything for power, ready to lose their head for presidency. Bora waione kwa currency, sababu gani siko affected na turbulence. Nikifly angani, nimezoea the same feeling. Matatu zikipitia pothole mtaani. Juliane, yeah, yeah. Nikonjata siezi karanga, uwe hae shagala bagala. Niko tayari sitabidi raise hands. Droving for sun, breakfast and croissant. Hataki punguze bei ya bidhaa, tunataka opportunities ndio tu afford hizo bidhaa. Walisema kutembea kwingi ndio kuona mengi, nimeshinda nikitembea maofisi na sijaiona kazi. Sisi cheza golf kwenye Tiger Wood, mambo si barabara chingu. Naomba Johnny Masters, chakule fike tumboni ikitoka kwa sahani. Policeman anapiga rungu, mwalimu daktari anamurushia tear gas, na mtoto wake anarudishwa nyumbani, hana school fees analipo peanuts. Hata siwezi karanga, uwe hai, shagala bagala, niko tayari lipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kukuza sura, wataki kukuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. See was a state house, na la twins a ghetto. Ziupatana Nairobi River, no more nita live by hand to mouth. Ushasikia maskini na ugua gout, nikiwa na nguvu ya kung'oa reli, definitely kuinua kura si nzito. Ukiingiza kwa ballot box, chagua kiongozi wa kweli. Moha, Jona la Namu, jicho pevu, wakianika mkono refu, ina pickpocket wanyonge. Navaa maska za goalkeeper wa hoki, wezi ni kerubo. Kenya ni kama boxing, hakuna sabu, work with what we have. Niko njaa, siwezi karanga, uwe hai, shagala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kukuza sura, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala.
Monster Math presents Addition Below 10. Okay class, let's begin. What is 5 plus 3? We can solve the problem by counting on. We start with the bigger number, 5, and then we count on. 5, 6, 7, 8. Well done. Now try this one. What is 4 plus 6?
Barua toka Jaramogi na Kenyatta, wanauliza kama Kenya kuko sawa. Nikawajibu Kenya tuko na disaster, watoto wetu wanazidi kuzikana. Na Tomboya ameshika tama, alituacha kama angali kijana. Je, angekuwa mambo yangekuwa sawa? Ndivyo walivyopanga Maulana. Deni mulizoacha bado tunalipa, na tumekopa zingine China. Tukajenga reli pia barabara, zilizobaki watu wakasanya. So tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Sikio la kufa halisikii dawa, tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana. tujiangalie bane, tuko mabaya leo kuliko jana, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana.
Waumini kwa matrina, pasi kwa bima, kushoto fungu la 10 sadaka kulia, ndio maana mbele ya kanisa mheshimiwa anakula sakramenti kabla ya raia. Siku za mwisho zimeshawadia na revelation inatuambia hii generation inachoma picha, ni generation yetu, so tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, sikio la kufa halisikii dawa, tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana, tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana. Mishuki alisema tufungeni mikanda, ona leo twavuna tulichopanda, kura zetu zilitugawanya, makabila na pesa pia tulimanga, so when you make your bed, usingizi gani tumelala, tutajua tujui, Vision 2030 tabaki ni story, tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, sikio la kufa halisikii dawa, tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana, tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana.
Dosi aliniambianga freedom never comes for free, we vote tribe ama real cash, ask
We are women, we are strong, we are fine. We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who are the nation's lands, united by the struggle, united by the past, and it's here we go, for the women of the working class. We don't need government's approval for anything we do. We don't need their permission to have a point of view. We don't need anyone to tell us what to think or say. We've strength enough and wisdom of our own to go our own way. We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who are the nation's land, united by the struggle, united by the past, and it's here we go, for the women of the working class.
Wamama wetu, mafighter, wasichana wetu, makada, wanawake wetu, imara, masoja wetu, wasichana, wamama wetu, mafighter.
Umekatilili makomanda, umekatilili makoma, umekatilili makomanda, umekatilili makoma. Mudoni kirima makomanda. Ayaya. Mudoni kirima makoma. Ayaya. Mudoni kirima makomanda. Ayaya. Mudoni kirima makoma. Ayaya. Mudoni. Ayaya. Mudoni kirima makomanda. Ayaya. Mudoni. Ayaya. Mudoni kirima makoma. Ayaya. Umekatilili makomanda. Ayaya. Umekatilili makoma. Ayaya. Umekatilili makomanda. Ayaya. Umekatilili makoma. Ayaya. Wameza. Ayaya. Umekatilili makoma. Ayaya. Wameza. Ayaya. Umekatilili makomanda. Ayaya.
I'm going to